No amount of knowledge can heal the heart or the soul. And yet, despite this, we spend so much time up in our heads, regurgitating, ruminating, overanalyzing, overthinking. We place so much significance and importance on knowing and not half enough on understanding, forgetting that in order to embody something, we need to actually put it into action in our day to day life. And this is particularly true when it comes to a more spiritually led life. We hear all of these terms that have almost become buzzwords, hashtag compassion, hashtag empathy. We hear all about forgiveness, and we know that they're part and parcel of having improved mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And yet, when it comes to putting them into practice, when it comes to embodying them, we struggle. And that's not our fault. I mean, we are designed with all of these cognitive biases, all of these stories and constructs in our mind that basically work against us. I mean, they actually are there for our survival, but they can often work against us when it comes to being open minded. We have the negativity bias, where we assume that we will always be drawn to the negative. We have very black and white thinking processes. We see things as all or nothing. And this can really hinder us when it comes to being open minded in life. Likewise, we have social constructions which basically tell us that we should place all of our focus on things that are really unimportant, like what we look like, the acquisition of wealth and of power and of success and being ambitious and hustling and the grind and all of these things that are kind of vacuous at the end of the day, but we place so much emphasis on them because of the culture that we're living in and the social constructs that we're surrounded by. So it really takes a conscious effort to move beyond them. Likewise, we're very attached to our beliefs about the world itself, about other people, and we really don't like those beliefs to be challenged. We have an aversion to being proven wrong, and consequently we tend to hold on to ideas for dear life, like as if there's some sort of security blanket, instead of recognizing the similarities that we all experience, which is our humanity, which is the fact that we're all struggling, that we have this kind of ubiquitous struggle and suffering going on, and that we're all united in that. We focus instead on the differences between us. And what this results in is, I suppose, a disconnect from others and indeed a disconnect from ourselves. And in order to be open minded, you have to also be open hearted. And that involves vulnerability. And that's something that we almost find intolerable because we again have, because of our past experience, because of our conditioning, we have come to believe that we need to be always on guard, that we need to always have these defense mechanisms in place, that we always need to protect ourselves from others instead of feeling united with them. And consequently, as I said, we miss out on so much community opportunities. We miss out on sharing ideas, sharing feelings, sharing joy. Instead, we're just focused on self-sufficiency, self-righteousness, and kind of plowing our way through the world, achieving everything that there is to be achieved, and not really taking a lot of time to smell the roses. It's all about how productive you are. It's all about the hustle. It's all about the grind. It's all about success. And the reality is, we don't take an awful lot of time just to be still, just to listen to our hearts, just to listen to our intuition, just to listen to our gut, which are our internal guides that we have kind of switched off. And people often ask me, oh, how do I switch that back on again? And ask yourself this question. Whenever you have a few moments throughout your day, just say, for example, you're standing in a queue waiting for a sandwich, or you're just going to the bathroom, do you check in with yourself, or do you check in with your Facebook? Do you, and it's true. I mean, anytime we literally have a second of stillness, we just cannot tolerate the potential boredom. We're straight away onto our Twitter, we're straight away onto our Instagram, and we don't even allow room for curiosity, for creativity, for inspiration, for all of those deep questions that we have surrounding ourselves, surrounding other people. It's like as if any of those deep questions that we really don't know an answer to, we don't want to think about them too much, because we like certainties. We like to know what the answers are. We like the stories that we have created in our own minds. It's nearly, it's safe. It's a safe way to live our lives, to just kind of conform and to do what it is that we think is a life worth living. But every so often you have to question yourself, how often have you felt joy? How often have you felt a real sense of purpose, a real sense of well-being, a real sense of being a decent person, a real sense of peace and contentment, you know? And if you're not experiencing those, well, then you maybe need to have a look at your life. You maybe need to look at how open you are to the possibility that you're not living the life that you desire. And I was listening to a really interesting lady the other day. She actually has a website. It's called Brain Pickings, I think. Her name is Maria Popova. Correct me on that, because I'm not actually sure of the pronunciation. But she was talking about, I think it was 10 or 11 things that she has learned over the years of blogging about spiritual and philosophical and psychological concepts. And a few of them include, number one, be ready to change your mind at any given moment. We have to have this growth mindset. We have to be able to move away from fixed thinking, because fixed thinking is the result of disconnect with ourselves, with others, and with the world around us. We have to be open to the fact that we don't actually know everything, that nothing is for certain and nothing is guaranteed. And I suppose there's the whole existential kind of dread that we experience when we realize, oh my God, nothing is for certain, nothing is guaranteed. But that's part and parcel of life, and that's part of the journey of acceptance, and part of the beauty of the journey is the not knowing and not always being in control, and being able to surrender to that. Do as much as possible from your heart as opposed to from your head. And again, I'm always talking about trying to switch on the heart mind as opposed to the head mind. Be generous with your time, be generous with yourself, be generous with other people. And this isn't a monetary thing. This is about basically being present with others, being present with yourself, giving people your attention, giving people open-mindedness, giving people as much as you can possibly give of yourself. Learn to be still. Learn to have moments of reflection. Learn to have moments where you consider some of the great questions, as opposed to always being stuck on your social media apps. Try to avoid cynicism, and it's only natural in the world that we live in that we tend to be very cynical about others, that we tend to be quite bitchy, that we tend to be quite gossipy. And if you can, pull yourself back from that sort of behavior and that sort of thinking, because it is in no ways beneficial to you. It's a huge sign of insecurity and somebody who is very low in self-worth. So it's indicative that you may need to do a little bit of work on yourself. Try to take people as you find them, as opposed to how you'd like them to be. Give as much importance to being present and being still as you do to being productive. Oftentimes I think we have to achieve this great life, or we think we have to, and we don't give enough importance to living life and to appreciating where we're at. Be patient. Good things take time to come about, and have faith that life is going to turn out okay, because ultimately when we lose hope, we lose everything. Always try to choose substance over the more superficial, and forgive everyone, and find what it is that light you up. Find the people that light you up and meet with them, and do those things as frequently as possible. If you'd like to hear any more about the concepts I've talked about today, get in touch with me on my website. It's fundamentals.ie.